Okay, again, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Mark Chesler. I'm the Business Development Manager for Tekserve, and we're excited to present to you uh, a concept that we're very interested in, and I'm sure that you will be as well, which is project-based media management. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panelists for today. And after the presentation, we will be taking some questions. So we will be starting off with Daniel Faulkner for Marquis. He will be followed by Phil Story from XenData. And finally, Scott Allen from Oracle will be presenting their piece of this workflow. So I'm going to actually hand it over right now to Daniel Faulkner. Daniel, please feel free to take controls here from me.
All right, thanks, Mark. I don't see the presentation in front of me, so I will happily take control. There it is. All righty. So thanks again for setting this up, Mark. We really appreciate it, organizing this seminar for us. So what exactly is project-based media management? PBMM is a joint solution provided by Marquis, XenData, and Oracle that allow users to really take control of their valuable production edit storage. Knowing with certainty that all of your media and metadata within your project is included in your archive is critical. And when it comes to the restore process, having the ability to not only choose the entire project, but only the individual bin that just may be required is very efficient. So without PBMM, you'll end up archiving too much, which wastes obviously storage space, or archiving too little, which can cause pain and waste valuable time with the re-ingest process, if that's even possible. A few more benefits include the ability to analyze your edit shared storage, finding that wasted space, which will improve efficiency with your valuable production storage, the ability to reliably archive and restore projects, including all the media and metadata of that project in an organized singular package, which makes managing these assets much easier. And it creates scalable digital archives with the best of breed products. So the first of those products is Marquis Broadcast Project Parking. Just a brief history lesson. And again, I'm Daniel Faulkner, and I run the business development for Marquis in the U.S. Marquis has been around for about 15 years, providing software solutions that move media and metadata between those systems that normally don't communicate efficiently. Some of those systems include playout and ingest servers, archiving systems, automation, and we've worked a lot with editing environments and predominantly with Avid. And we found that a lot of our Avid customers were looking for a way or wanting a way to be able to package up an entire project, all that media and metadata together, and move it off of that valuable storage, mainly because the problem with that valuable production storage is that it's always full. Most of my customers are running at 80 to 90% capacity on their edit shared storage, and so that makes people a little bit nervous where the next show is going to go. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. You give somebody 32 terabytes, they're going to fill it up. If you give them a petabyte, eventually they're going to fill it up, and you see the excuses here as to why the media is still on the disk, but no matter what the cause is, it's going to be full. So with Project Parking, we give you the ability to archive some of these large projects off of the production storage onto a lower cost storage system like XenData, or even off to tape, where Oracle comes into play, and free up a lot of that space. And in this example, you can see here 60% free. That might be a little bit excessive, but now your editors and media managers can work a little bit more stress-free if that's possible. So Project Parking, what is that? As you can see here with my bullet point, it's an application that helps manage edit shared storage. So what we do, we actually analyze all of your projects on the Avid storage. We look at all the references to see how big these projects are, which ones are taking up the most space, how many workspaces they span across, and actually give you some tools to take action, whether it's transfer or archive or potentially delete that project to free up space. We also look at the media workspaces to identify that those project references, that the media is actually there. And then we work out that there's media that's not referenced by any project, which is what we call an orphan file. And we can actually take that list of orphan files and free that up. And if you have Interplay, we can actually go into Interplay via web services and cross-check it against what the indexer knows and to give you a true orphan count. We can also find duplicate media as well. So it's a very efficient way to look at what's going on and how your storage is being managed or potentially mismanaged. With the archiving and restoring of projects, we can actually drill down to the bin level, so you can archive and restore just the bin if that's necessary. And when you restore a bin, you can actually merge that into your current project that you're working on. And then down there at the bottom, you see scheduling and backup. This is a way to automate these processes, so we can actually, a lot of my customers are running an analysis overnight so that they have a fresh look at their system first thing in the morning. And then one of my customers out on the West Coast, Rovio, the Angry Birds guys, they have one large project that they use for their, I think they're making a movie, but every night at 2 a.m. they run an archive of that project. And so the first time we archive, we take everything, and the second and third time we just take the bits that have changed. So it's actually a true incremental archive that takes place, and they have several versions that they can pull back from. So when we actually run that analysis that I mentioned earlier, when it's finished, we give you a screen that looks like this. And this is actually looking at the entire Avid system. And you might have to go back to your geometry days, but with this pie chart. But as you can see, the blue files are good. That means unique, so there's no duplication. In the orange, as you can see, are some duplicate files. In the gray are orphan files. And then we break it down into stats. I like stats. So you can see all the references, how many projects you have, and then we break down to the amount of space that's being redundant or wasted and the percentage that can be cleared. This actually, it may seem like a lot, 5.3 terabytes, but it's actually on the lower end. On what I've seen, we're seeing on average 15% of wasted space when we run an analysis. I actually had a customer in Atlanta that we found 10 terabytes of orphan files on the first day. So giving them back 10 terabytes of space in the first few days is very valuable and very quickly. And then we can actually drill down and look into each individual project, and here's a workspace analysis, a 10,000-foot view of what that'll look like. The top left is which projects have media on this workspace, and then we have a files by age section over the top right. Bottom left is duplicate files, and the bottom right is orphan files, and you can actually take action from these screens to free up some of that space. So that's kind of some of a high-level look at how much detail we can show with each workspace and project. So I've talked about the analysis. I've talked about archiving, restoring projects, all the media metadata. So what's new? One of the latest things since IBC, my favorite latest feature is the Interplay update. And so let's say we archive to a XenData system and you have Interplay. And so what happens is we actually go into Interplay and we create a custom column that says the master clips included in this archive project have been archived to XenData. It was included in Project X on this date. So Interplay knows that these master clips have been archived. Everybody knows. I mentioned earlier about the orphan cross-checking, so we can check Interplay to see the orphans that we find if Interplay has reference to them. Relatively new, AMA. We support AMA media when our project restores. Additional folders, which could be anything from scripts, databases, text files, Adobe After Effects, what have you, can also be included. A monetary cost to the storage analysis. So what this means is We can tell you how much a project is costing you over the life cycle of the project and in storage, or how much the wasted or redundant space is costing you. So we can really give a value to that storage. Being able to delete a project, which frees up that space, and also the project-based media management event notifications, so we can actually text you or email you if the project's been archived or a storage analysis has been complete, so you're completely aware of what's going on at all times. And so how does this all tie together? Well, the next step is archiving to XenData, and Phil can talk to you about how that's managed. I won't even try to go to that level of intelligence there. But Project Parking actually has been certified to be installed on the XenData server. So we run right on their system, and so you don't need an extra server, which is very cost effective. Stub file support, we actually, when we archive to Xen and they push it off to tape, they leave back enough information about these files that we can actually populate our restore screen. So when we go to restore a project, we can actually grab those stub files and simply wait for the projects to be restored. Once they're online, we'll actually push them over to the Avid system. And then tapes on shelf notification. This is when there's not enough room in the library and the tapes actually live on the shelf on the wall. If the archive, or excuse me, the project includes media on these tapes, XenData will tell us that they're on the shelf, and we'll tell the user that, hey, please load tapes X, Y, and Z before you can restore this project. So very tight integration with XenData here. And so with that, I'd like to hand it over to Phil and let him talk to you about his archive solution.
Thanks, Daniel. I'll just move on to the next slide. Great. So project-based media management is all about managing two tiers of storage on a project-by-project basis. It allows you to move the files that are not being used in current projects to archive storage, freeing up space on your edit storage. Of course, archive storage has to provide a lower cost per terabyte than edit storage. In addition, it's got to provide strong data protection. The storage medium must be stable and robust for decades, because you typically want to keep this material for a very long time. And of course, the archive systems must be very reliable. So our archive systems do address all of these needs using either LTO, linear tape open, the most common, most popular data tape format. For high-end users, we also support StorageTek's very high-capacity T10K data tape cartridges, which Scott will be talking about later. And also we've added support for Sony optical disc archive cartridges. However, most of the systems we sell today use LTO because it's such a cost-effective storage medium. XenData provides archive storage systems that are designed for use in a networked environment. And to meet the performance requirements, they all use a disk cache. The use of cache means that the system doesn't have to wait for tape cartridges to be mounted and wound to the end of data to write to the archive. Furthermore, it means that storage restore requests have got priority for the available tape drives in the system, because archive operations can always be buffered on disk. Our entry-level solution, which is shown here, is a 1U archive appliance, and it can have 1 or 2 LTO6 drives attached to it. It's designed to manage a scalable archive consisting of externalized LTO cartridges, i.e. LTO cartridges on the shelf. And actually, it will manage an unlimited number of LTO cartridges, effectively giving you this infinite capacity. For automated systems, we then step up to a system with a robotic library. And here we show our SXL 3000 range, which includes the Oracle StorageTek SL150 expandable LTO library. The system starts at just under $44,000 for a complete archive system. with 2 internal LTO6 drives, a capacity of 150 terabytes. But the key thing is that the library can be expanded up to 3/4 of a petabyte, 750 terabytes, very, very cost effectively in 75 terabyte increments. So each 75 terabyte increment costs less than $4,000, which is way lower cost per terabyte than expanding your Reddit storage. And then for the largest requirements, we have clustered archive servers that can manage robotic libraries with thousands of LTO or T10K cartridges. And this can provide nearline capacities of many petabytes. All XenData systems make archiving to and restoring from data tape, just like writing to and reading from disk. Another way to say this is that the system virtualizes the content of the RAID, the data tape cartridges within the robotic library, and any externalized cartridges. So this approach means that XenData systems have great compatibility with a wide range of third-party applications, because most applications can write files and folders to disk. In this presentation, we're focusing on project-based media management. And as Daniel's just mentioned, we've got great compatibility with project parking. And especially the tight integration with the management of externalized cartridges is important, because you can put in place an archive at less than $10,000 based upon our SXL1, which was the first system that we showed earlier, with 1 or 2 LTO6 drives. But in addition, we've got proven compatibility with most media asset management systems and applications used in the media industry. And with these examples here, we all have real production installations. And actually, we find that some of our customers will combine project parking with a MAM, because you can use a single library with a robotic library, a single system with a robotic library, and you can use it both for archiving from the MAM and also archiving from project parking. All XenData systems write to data tape using the LTFS exchange format, which was defined by IBM in 2010, not that long ago, but it's been adopted by most of the industry. So we have an LTFS implementation, but not all implementations are equal, and we have a pretty sophisticated implementation. We've got the capability to automatically span cartridges. As you write more to the archive, the system will automatically, dynamically expand the capacity of a pool of data tape cartridges and jump to the next cartridge when using a robotic library. When using an entry-level system with only 1 or 2 external tape drives, the system will send off an email alert, or it can also give an on-screen notification, and they'll tell the operator to swap a cartridge. And with project parking, that's done in an even more sophisticated way. It goes through project parking. There's a user-defined option to automatically duplicate cartridges, and when full, each cartridge will have been duplicated. One cartridge can then be exported from the library as a backup copy and put into an off-site location. As I mentioned earlier, disk cache provides high performance, especially in the networked environment. We include CRC verification of the data written to LTO. In addition, we support partial file restore for the media asset management systems that also support it. Again, as I mentioned previously, we manage an unlimited number of externalized cartridges, and we provide a mechanism, a couple of mechanisms to be able to manage them very, very effectively. And then just a final comment. Our systems are very well proven. We've got over 600 systems with robotic libraries installed in media and entertainment applications around the world. Our users range from TV stations, large and small, many production and post-production companies, through to what we're seeing is a growth area, the marketing communications departments of corporations, again, both large and small. So having said that, I will pass over to Scott.
Great, thank you, Phil. Let me just go ahead and take control here. So the next section we're going to walk into, we're going to talk about how Marquis software and the XenData product make tape analytic, or make our tape products transparent. So really what we're going to show here is not a component of the solution that you have to manage, but let you know where your data is actually residing. So we're going to talk about how the Oracle component of the solution really helps you leverage the lowest cost archival storage on the market, as well as develop a solution that is scalable so that you can invest in a solution that's not just going to take you 1 or 2 years down the road, but really something that you can invest in and continue to put your data into in a long term. So a very scalable solution. Everything I'm going to talk about is completely qualified with the XenData product line and the project-based media management offering that we're talking about here today. So typically when we talk to large broadcasters and studios, a lot of their end artistic folks are looking at the latest and greatest cameras. In fact, I just wanted to add a little proof point here on this slide. The latest RED cameras, the 6K cameras that they have out, 24 hours of video footage from those cameras is capable of producing up to 85 terabytes of storage. These are just staggering numbers that we're seeing in this industry. So as we look at broadcasters and studios migrating to maybe just 4K today, but in the future 8K technologies, storage is really a concern that's at the forefront of many customers' minds. So how do you deal with all the storage content? What are really your options? And as we've mentioned here, we're proposing a solution that really allows you to not just look at expensive disk-based solutions, or in this case Avid storage, but really gives you an alternative to really reduce your storage consumption and the costs associated with it. So here's a typical Avid ISIS 2500 box. Obviously this can be a large one, but you're looking at over $250,000 list price for a product in that space. The solution we're proposing is greatly lower. So you're looking at significant savings when you open up your mind to having a digital archive resting in tape. So a little bit on Oracle storage tape solutions. Again, a solution leveraging tape can add up to 18x savings in tapes by leveraging tape storage. Also with that, there's a common misconception that by adding tape to an environment, you may add complexity. It may be difficult to get that data back. So I just wanted to address some of those points in the next several slides. The first is actually by leveraging a solution like XenData in this project-based media management solution, you're actually opening up how you access those assets. So just because they're on tape doesn't mean they're difficult to get to. The software really makes it easy to find and access those assets, and it can move those assets off to tape really based on policy. So many of these movements can be automated in the background and really be transparent to you and the end users. A couple proof points on tape storage, specifically in the archive market. Tape is very heavily used in this space. So when I talk about archiving, we really talk about any data that's being used more than 90 days. So definitely assets in the media and entertainment industry fall into this category. And when you look under the covers of these data centers, we can turn to some industry analysts here. I have a report from IDC. It shows that the bulk of that data is actually residing on tape. So there is still active disk and long-term disk, like your edit storage and things like that. But for assets that are more idle or that you may want to repurpose and use in the future, tape makes the most sense, and that's really why we see the industry leveraging it so heavily. So this just is a proof to show, you don't have to take it from me, but really the bulk of archive content does reside on tape. Why? Well, tape is actually 10,000 times more reliable than disk. I know that's a staggering number, but the bit error correction rate on tape technology is just far superior because we're dealing with much larger bits. In disk product lines, we generally will produce RAID storage. That'll give you more redundancy, so you don't see those errors as much. But when you look at tape technologies, those sort of error correction facilities aren't necessarily needed at that level because the reliability of the storage is so great. Additionally, customers investing in tape solutions typically look at products that sit on their data center floors for up to 10 years. Our digital tape libraries don't need to be refreshed as often as disk technologies. So long term, you're going to have shorter refresh or refresh cycles, ultimately leading to savings by not reinvesting in the storage that you have on the ground. We really are proposing two solutions here that'll be under the covers behind Marquis and XenData. You'll have on the left-hand side our standard solution. It's our SL150 library. As Phil mentioned, it's very scalable. It actually stores up to close to 1,500 hours of video footage in 2K formats. And then our enterprise solution, which Phil mentioned, that also leverages our enterprise drive technology. I'm just going to comment on that. There is LTO supported by both of these libraries. Today, LTO is a lower format specification. So our enterprise tape technology actually holds 8.5 terabytes native capacity. So you're going to get a lot higher density if you use our enterprise solution. But both products will leverage LTO, where you're looking around 2.5 terabytes of capacity per slot. Our enterprise solution does support up to close to 30,000 hours of video, but both solutions are supported by the project-based media management offering we're discussing. Looking a little bit closer at the standard solution, the most typical solution in this space, the product was really designed for ease of use. So customers like yourselves who maybe historically haven't leveraged digital tape libraries or are looking at sort of new use cases with them, it's a touch screen. It only has a couple parts. It's very easy to install. It sits in a standard rack-like configuration. So it's definitely not built like the tape products of decades before. It's very simple to use and designed for customers that are coming from disk environments and integrating with tape for the first time. Additionally, this product is really unique to Oracle and great for this space because of the way it scales. So our SL150 library, really, you only need one library, and this library can grow with you. If you look at what the competition has in this space, they typically have 3 different libraries to cover the same scalability. So if you grow with a competitive library, you'd start with around 24 slots. As you grow out of that library, they offer 48-slot libraries. They don't go beyond that, so then you're going to, yet again, have to introduce another library. So as you scale your environment, you really go through 3 different library technologies. Oracle's come out with a great new library that takes you through all of those different capacities and really lets you grow as you need to without throwing out the robotics and starting fresh every time you add a new technology. So as Phil mentioned, the product does start at a very nice entry point and can scale up to 750 terabytes. It is 10 different modules, so as you need capacity, you can add that capacity in 75 terabyte increments. So in closing on the Oracle side, really the key point here is by adding the tape storage to your environment, you're going to see a lot lower costs from a storage perspective. And by leveraging the Marquis and Xen product on the front end, it's really going to be seamless and transparent to you. So with that, I'll pass it over to Mark to close us out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Just in summary here, project-based media management allows you to move all the files that are not needed for your current projects over to low-cost archive storage, which frees up your edit storage. Files are stored by project, which means it is very efficient to restore a complete project from archive if needed. And as far as Tekserve is concerned, we are here to offer you complete workflow solutions and support services to help assess your needs relating to storage and archiving, etc. Again, I thank Marquis, XenData, and Oracle for participating and for presenting this cost-effective, reliable, project-based media management solution. And with that, we are going to take some questions here. The first question that I have, and I'll throw it to everyone here, is this about Avid only? Because you did mention Avid quite a bit, but does this solution work for Adobe, Final Cut, etc.?
Great question. I'll jump here. Currently, it is an Avid-only product. However, stay tuned. I can't really go into much detail, but there will be more platforms added in the near future. Probably Adobe and Final Cut, which we see the main two other players. So that'll be coming shortly.
Great, thank you. Now, another question that I have, and this is probably directed at you, Daniel, is what is the project restore process like?
It's a very simple process. Basically, we browse the XenData storage, the disk storage, with the stub files that they've conveniently left behind, which provides us enough information to populate our restore screen with all of the archives that we have sent to tape for deep archive, and all the versions and all that information. And so when you go to restore, you simply select the project that you want, maybe even the bins that you want. Maybe you want 2 bins or 3, whatever, and you select the location on the Avid storage that you want to restore to, and you hit go, and we massage or start to try and restore the stub files, which kicks off XenData's process to pull back from tape, and we will patiently wait. I say patiently, maybe it's impatiently, for the files to return, and once they are online, we'll push them over to the Avid storage.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Actually, if I could just jump in, one of the things that we didn't really say in the presentation is that data tape is you typically, when you're in a robotic tape library environment, you typically have to wait a couple of minutes before a file transfer starts. But actually, once it starts, it is way fast. Tape really wants to go faster than most RAID can operate at. So there's typically a couple of minutes delay. But if you're dealing with large files, that becomes pretty irrelevant, actually. So tape restores can be, depending upon kind of how many files you have and their file size, can be actually really fast, surprisingly fast.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. So another question that I have is addressed to Scott with Oracle. What storage technologies do some of the largest studios and broadcasters leverage currently?
All right, great. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, that's a good question. We're talking a lot about tape here, and sometimes it can seem like a technology from days past, but really those large environments are heavily invested in tape. I can't name any customer names here just because of sort of requirements around security, but we do have any of the large studios around the world, 3 or 4 name acronyms, deploying tape. Oracle is actually the #1 in the enterprise digital tape market, ahead of any other vendor in that space. So when you walk into large broadcasters and studios and you look under the covers in their data centers, there's a Storage Tech branded library in most of them. And that's really because they need to leverage this tiered storage type of architecture where you're putting the right files on the right tier of storage so that you can really free up funds and assets for production storage. And most of those big broadcasters have believed in this sort of structure for quite a long time.
Great, thank you. And so I have a question directed at Daniel from Marquis. It's a 2-part question here. One, deduplication can ensure that Project Archive does not store another copy of clip. 2, can it ensure that an archive clip is not needed in another project?
Sorry, say that again.
So the question, it seems, is can deduplication ensure that Project Archive does not store another copy of the clip? And then the second part is, can it ensure that an archive clip is not needed in another project?
Okay, so if we're archiving the same project or updating the same project, we will not duplicate the media after it's been archived. We keep reference of what's been archived, and so if there's new media that's added or changes that have been made, that media and metadata will be added to the second version of the archive project. And now if you're archiving or transferring a second project that may have media from the first, we will again, if it's the first time you're archiving the second project, if that makes sense, we will take all the media of the second project, simply because we don't know for sure how it's going to be used. Maybe you're transferring the project to another location and it's not for archive, or maybe we don't know what your plans are. So we will send that file again with the second project's archive.
And if I might add, basically, when you're archiving a project, then basically think of it as the files that are in other projects you're going to take a copy of, but the files that are not in any other projects, you can then move them off, freeing space on your shared edit storage. So Project Parking's got that intelligence to know what can be moved and what can be copied. And the reason you do that is it's great to be able to keep the full project on archive, so it can all be all in one kind of location, one group of tapes, because then it can all be restored very easily. So there's huge sophistication within Project Parking to be able to cope with that situation.
One final question for everyone.
I think that made sense.
Yeah, thank you.
So one final question to help justify the cost of this to my senior management. Can I work out the cost of duplicate and orphan files to present to them?
Yeah, we can actually, there's a configuration within Project Parking to enter in how much your storage costs you, whether it's per month, whether it's just a flat cost, and we will break that down into how much a project is taken up in space as far as a value in the amount of space, and then with duplicates and orphans, we can put in a dollar amount or euro if you're interested in that. Of how much it's being wasted, and either per day, per month, or just in total. So yeah, we can actually show you at a value of how much this wasted space is costing you. So it does help justify quickly that that this product and this solution overall will be saving you money just day one.
Great. Thanks again, everyone. And for people that are still on the line here, just know that you can reach out for more information on project-based media management. You can reach out to Tekserve. You can contact us at business@tekserve.com. You can call our business line at 212-381-6381, or you can visit our website at www.tekserve.com/business-solutions for more information on our offering. Again, thank you so much to Daniel from Marquis, Phil Story from XenData, and Scott Allen from Oracle. And we look forward to working with all of you on project-based media management solutions. Have a great day, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.